Notnerd Podcast, Episode 208, Anatomize Your Data.
Welcome to the Notnerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we are here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
And as always, helping everyone tech better, even you, Nate.
We always learn from each other.
Yeah, you get your advice from me, I get my advice from you, and it's all terrible, and we fail all the... No, it's...
We figure it out with each other, and then we share it with the world.
Yes.
Well, we are coming off the Thanksgiving weekend here in the United States. It is Cyber Monday as we record. Yes, you are looking a little...
I think I gained a few pounds over the weekend.
It happens. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, whatever we're calling it. Deal November into December.
Yes.
Did you make any purchases of note?
None. Although, superfan Tyler and I were speaking today, and as you know, I got the Disney Plus Hulu bundle subscription that comes with ESPN Plus, and now I'm contemplating unbundling the bundle because there's some Cyber Monday deals where you can get a discount on Disney Plus and you can get a discount on Hulu, and combined they are less than the price of the bundle, but you don't get ESPN Plus, which I would argue is not good at all. I haven't found one program that I want to watch on that thing. But anyway, that is the only purchase I've almost made. What about you? Have you picked up some good deals out there?
I didn't pick up a whole awful lot. I got a couple things some cables and stuff that weren't, crazy deals. I did spend a lot of time looking around. There were some really good deals on like AirPods Pro, iPads. The base level iPad was like $230.
I thought about getting one just to...
I almost did, just to have one around to sell to somebody.
Well, if the kids want to go sledding, if it snows, they have something to go down the hill
cheap.
on.
That base model iPad at that price point is unreal.
I told my wife that I sent her the link, and I said, hey, look at this. And she goes, for my sister? I'm like, well, yeah, anybody, but for you is what I was thinking. Hers is like 4 years old or something.
And I have a tradition. We go over to my parents on Thanksgiving Day, and they always get the newspaper. So
you can look
has
through
all the ads.
We used to do that.
It is... I looked through there, and I did not find one thing that I needed because I just get everything I need. But there is so much stuff.
Isn't your life so much less complicated because you just buy things as you need them?
Yes,
versus inventing
saving
reason.
A little bit of money. But my mom was telling me she went to get the newspaper. This boggles my mind. The Oregonian for the Black Friday or the Thanksgiving edition, they charge $5 to give you 2 pounds of ads.
Yeah.
I swear that one newspaper probably funds their entire year.
It used to be like $1.50. How did it
everybody's paying them to put these huge ads. Fred Meyer's had 6 different ads in there.
It's a racket.
So they're making all the money off the people paying them to have ads in there, and then they charge more to the people.
All I know is it's not worth it to me to go out into all the traffic, into the hordes of people to save a couple bucks. I would rather have the privilege of buying the items whenever I want at their regular price. Or, I'm no dummy. I usually wait for a sale. I have a loose slogan that I follow as a life lesson of never pay retail. And so just look for deals throughout the year and bookmark things online, use Camel, a bunch of other things, and be a little bit patient, and you're going to always find some good deals that are probably better than anything you would find on Black Friday.
Yeah, which reminds me, I was watching the local news, as I often do, and they went out Friday morning and interviewed some lady at Fred Meyer's, our local Kroger chain. She got there at 1:15 a.m. to camp out for when they were opening at 5.
What you could do with that time.
I know. She said she was doing other shopping online while she was waiting there, and she said, I'm going to get an iWatch on a discount, which it's an Apple Watch, folks.
Yeah.
But you can get the same discount online.
Yeah, you could have went to Best Buy, or there was a couple other vendors. Walmart had them. Yeah. There's like $129 for the Series 3 was the low price.
Yeah. So she camped out for 4 hours to save maybe an extra $10 if she was the first person to get the doorbuster deal. But yeah, the holistic cost just does not work out very well on the Black Friday shopping. For some people, they find a lot of enjoyment in it, going out, get in the crowds.
It's an adventure.
Yes, but as far as the savings, it's not always the best. But anyways, that is over by the time you're listening to this, although a lot of the deals will probably continue on until Christmas because people love selling stuff. But let's get on to some real stuff. Now, I will preface this episode
the real thing.
With it being Thanksgiving week, there was not a lot of tech news besides Black Friday deals, but I did find some stuff anyways. You've actually found an article about our beloved Amazon Alexa.
Well, my beloved, I know that you're not a big fan of your Echo Dot, but we enjoy it at our home, and I enjoy it here at work all the time. And I was happy to learn, and it's really not very impactful, but Alexa now has a voice that can express disappointment and excitement. She has some inflection in her voice to help her respond more emotionally. Here are a couple of the ones. We won't play them for you. You can follow the link and listen to them yourself. But there's disappointed low intensity, disappointed medium intensity, disappointed high intensity. Yes, okay. Then excited. You guessed it. Low intensity, medium, and high intensity. And if you listen to the little samples, they are different.
Yeah.
And she's becoming more and more lifelike. I think this is great. In addition to this, she has a newscaster-like voice for when she reads the news to you, because that's one of the things you can say, read the top U.S. stories today or whatever. And she goes into her Dateline San Diego, blah, 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 the way she talks. And it's pretty interesting. There's the standard style, the speaking style, and then there's also for music, for like a music DJ, if she wanted to spin the hits. This is Alexa spinning the hits today.
Nice.
So it's very interesting, and there's going to be a point coming in the future where an automated voice is going to be indistinguishable from a human voice.
Yeah.
We're almost there now. I welcome this. I want it to sound good. I'm so frustrated with Siri all the time, just doing dumb stuff, replying to me in dumb ways. I'm ready to get past this whole awkward phase of voice assistants and get into a phase where they're really useful. If they would just take the Siri screen down when she performs her task, that would be something. Don't leave it up there. What is going on? I digress. I don't know how I got talking about Siri when we're supposed to be talking about Alexa, but I prefer Alexa. She's my gal.
Yeah. And I prefer just to type into my devices instead of talking to them. Well, on Thanksgiving Day here, Thursday morning, there was some Facebook and Instagram outages like we had earlier in the year. And
I didn't even notice.
I don't think I noticed, but a lot of people were trying to post their turkey prep, etc. But I did see that the highest amount of issues seem to be in Eastern Europe, which I do not believe celebrates American Thanksgiving for the most part. But they got it fixed, and
that's
it's one
really
of those things.
It's really close to Russia. Maybe they were trying to hack an election or something.
That must have been. And you found an article just today that T-Mobile, ahead of schedule, is starting to roll out this is their nationwide 5G service. Now, the problem is nobody has a device yet that can use it. They have a couple phones, Samsung and a Huawei phone, maybe it is.
Yeah, I can't remember. But what's good about this is that most of the technology companies and stuff were used to being delayed. And, we couldn't make it happen. And, we changed our minds or whatever.
Yes.
These guys are actually doing it. They're releasing it early. So if you have one of these devices that has the correct radio in it where you can take advantage of these faster speeds, great. Otherwise, in another year or so, the rest of us are going to be getting new phones with the new radios, and we're going to be able to take advantage of this. And one small, point of interest is the current 5G that's out there, like from AT&T and others, is a very ultra high frequency band. You have to be in a very small area of just a couple cities to even make it work. This is kind of the lower frequency band of 5G that can penetrate walls and has a longer distance. And so the people who do have these devices are going to actually be able to use them nationwide in many areas, and so that's of note. So it's a much wider rollout so they could kind of use existing towers and stuff where the high bandwidth, it needs to be everywhere, because I read
It can't go through walls or glass or leaves, like one of the articles said.
Air.
Yes, and the higher band one is only in a few select cities, and there was a great quote in this article from John Legere, the T-Mobile CEO. He says about the other providers, while Dumb and Dumber focus on 5G for the wealthy few, launching in just a handful of cities and forcing customers into their most expensive plans to get 5G, we're committed to building broad, deep, nationwide 5G that people and businesses can access at no extra cost with the new T-Mobile. And today is just the start of that journey.
Yeah, and the second part of that journey is going to be when the Sprint T-Mobile merger is complete and T-Mobile's able to take advantage of extra spectrum that they're going to gain from this merger. So it's exciting times being a T-Mobile customer. I can't wait for faster speeds on better devices. So.
Well, and you know what I can't wait for? Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
I had lunch with, we'll call it a friend this week, an acquaintance this week.
Yes.
And I was disheartened to learn that this acquaintance may have lost almost all of their photos. And so today I wanted to talk about how it happened and how you, dear listener, can avoid it.
Now, does this acquaintance listen to the Notnerd podcast and maybe had heard of a term, one backup is none backup in the past?
Occasionally listens. Occasional listener.
Okay.
Let's start here. There is a clear delineation in my mind between an online or offline backup versus archive. And I want to make some distinctions, at least in the way that I view them. Of course, there's going to be other definitions. But just because something is backed up does not make that an archive of your information. And now I'll zoom in and I'll explain as it relates to photo applications. So if you're a Google photo user or an Apple iCloud or Apple Photos user, both apply. And they both can be used kind of interchangeably. But let's start with the backup. If I have an iPhone with iCloud and I have my free 5 gigabytes of space, which I would argue should be increased by paying at least the 99 cents a month to make it, 100 gigabytes or something like that, is well worth it. And this is the reason. You start to take photos on your phone. It's being backed up to iCloud. There's a message that comes that says, hey, you've been taking 30-minute 4K videos that are like 20 gigabytes each. Maybe it's time to get more storage so we can back up your stuff. Forget about it. I'll just delete a lot of my photos. I mean, they're being backed up in the cloud, right? There's confusion. And so if you delete them off of your device, the cloud will also delete them because they're tied together. And I was reminded of a 1995 smash hit, Pocahontas, where there's a line in the song, "The rainstorm and the river are my brothers. The heron and the otter are my friends. And we are all connected to each other in a circle, in a hoop that never ends." What I mean by that is you make a change here, it makes a change there. You make a change there, it makes a change here. On your iPad, I deleted this photo. Oh no, it's off of my phone. Oh no, it's out of the cloud. It's gone everywhere. That is a backup of what you have. It's a second copy of what you have right now. If you add to it, that's backed up. If you remove it, that removal is also backed up. Now, an archive is quite different. You can use Google Photos or Apple iCloud as an archive, but you need to be very specific in the way that you utilize these services so that you're not interfering with the service as it's designed to be used. So here's how I have it set up. I have an iPhone and I pay extra for iCloud storage. And so I really could pretty much have unlimited iCloud storage. It's a really big, like 2 terabytes worth of stuff. I don't use all that for my photos, obviously. I do other file management with that space. But I can back up all my photos there. I also have my Google Photos account logged into my phone, and it makes a mirror backup of my iCloud. In the past, when I didn't have as much storage, I would periodically go through my iCloud photos and I would delete them, knowing full well that they would be backed up and stored in my Google Photos. Now, here's the kicker. If you go into Google Photos and start deleting pictures, you're deleting them both out of Google Photos and Apple Photos.
If you tell it to.
If you tell it to.
Yes.
Because they're linked together. A warning will come up and says, would you also like to delete this from the device? And if you click yes, now it's gone both places. So you have to be very cognizant of exactly what you're doing and where. Now, there are other ways to archive your photos. You could use your computer to periodically download everything from the cloud, store it on a hard drive somewhere, and you've got them in the cloud, and you've got them on your computer. And if you make a mistake and accidentally delete them out of the cloud or your device, you could always go back to this iron box and get your photos. Now, this acquaintance, I think, has a lot of photos on a computer, but there's going to be a gap. I know there's going to be a gap. And that brings me to another solution that might help remedy some of these things. I use Google Photos and I index people and faces, and I know I'm just data farming for Google, and I'm giving them Nate Heath's face so that when he goes up to his Nest camera or his Ring doorbell, the cops are going to come break down the door because of facial tracking. I realize all this. I do it anyway because it's super convenient. And I went and I got a shared folder set up of the picture of this person's face, their spouse, and their child of photos that I've taken.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I made a shared folder, and I found 514 photos in my photo library containing pictures of them. Now, these are probably not the photos that they had, but they're certainly photos of them at different events and that they can enjoy to help kind of compensate for the ones they may have lost. So, dear listener, if you're out there and you're in a family unit or friend unit and you take lots of photos, you might consider using Google Photos to share those with friends and family. They can stay in your library. When you share it with them, they can choose to add it to their library or just keep it in the shared folder. Either way. And I know I'm kind of getting off topic a little bit, but difference between a backup and an archive.
Yes.
Google Photos and Apple Photos are not necessarily archives. They are just backups of what you have. They are mirror images of what you're using already. So be wise.
Yes. I keep all of mine in iCloud. I also make sure they're all in Google Photos. And then periodically on my Windows computer at home, a big old computer with lots of storage, I will download everything from iCloud onto that computer, so I have an archive, and then that archive is also backed up to Backblaze.
Yeah, which is an online backup.
So I technically have at least four copies of all my photos because I like my photos, and it's so easy these days to not lose them. But it is important to remember. I was having a conversation with a client earlier today about they had a lot of photos on their phone and their computer, and it was kind of the reverse. And they were trying to, how do I clean this stuff up? I've got all these pictures. I don't need them all. I took a picture of something at the store I wanted to remember. I looked it up, and then I don't need that again. I said, well, start with your phone. It was synced to iCloud, so that should clear out a lot of them, and then you can delete in different spots. But with storage as cheap as it is today, get an external hard drive, use Backblaze, do all these things that we talk about all the time so you don't lose these pictures. And
I'm going to talk later in my pick of the week a way that you can make a separate type of archive, but we'll wait till the end of the show
teaser
for that.
Well, let's rush through our takes then. Thank you for that tip. Photos are an important part of our lives, and we take lots of them these days. Well, Twitter had an announcement and then some backlash and then some changes to a plan they had made. I was very excited to hear that Twitter had announced the plan for any Twitter account that had not been accessed in the last 6 months. They were going to flush all of those out of the system. Now, why I'm so excited about that is because our buddy Asha, who had Notnerd, they started their Twitter account in October of 2009. They have tweeted twice, once in 2009, once in 2010. No activity. I've tried to contact them. And we use N0T Nerd for ours, which works fine. But
I would prefer to have the O.
Yes. And so I was very excited. Well, then there's a big backlash because apparently there's a lot of people, specifically people that have passed away. You know, there was a story I was reading about the guy, his dad was on Twitter and kind of only interacted with him, didn't really understand Twitter, but he's got this cool archive of, but he doesn't have access to the account. He doesn't, but he just likes to have it there. To which I would say you could probably print them off or something like that.
Well, I have a solution to all this if they would just listen to me. Of course, I haven't told them this, but if I did, they wouldn't listen to me anyway. I think what they should do is move forward with the implementation of this policy, but they should keep the accounts and issue them a random serialized number.
Yes.
Like, so the Notnerd account would still be there, but they would give it like a 16-digit hexadecimal character that's just
that
random.
Nobody would ever want.
Yeah, and when you go to twitter.com/notnerd, if you weren't cookied, it was like you were there for the first time. It could maybe have a little message say, "Are you looking for this account?" And there's a redirect that you click, and then it takes you to the serialized account, so you can archive them but still release the usernames.
I like that a lot, and they've actually said they're going to slow down. They're not going to do this mass rollout of wiping out all these accounts. They're going to look at a way to create a I forget what they call it on Facebook, but it's like a tribute where you can kind of do something similar. So hopefully they will listen to this and take your idea.
Yes, they usually do listen to it, but there's also another thing though. Is it really the responsibility of tech companies to deal with the digital belongings of deceased people?
Yeah.
I would argue that it's not the tech company's responsibility.
Yeah.
It's the individuals and their friends and family. The tech companies, it's like, I mean, if someone had something personal in a storage locker and they died and they didn't pay it, nobody paid it, it would get sold off and destroyed and emptied or thrown away or whatever. I think it should be the same way for digital goods and services.
That is a good point. This next article, it was an interesting one. Again, disclaimer, slow news week. Texas Instruments. Dave, when you were in high school, did you have the scientific calculator?
The TI-30 or whatever it was?
Yeah, and the TI-80 were the ones coming in right when I was in high school, where it's the graphing calculator and the little low-resolution screen.
I didn't. I mean, the only thing I could really do with my calculator is dial in some numbers and turn it upside down and see the word boobies. That's
as complex as you got.
Yeah.
Well, there's an interesting article written about just the monopoly that Texas Instruments has had and still has on this graphing calculator industry in schools, and how they're still $100 calculators.
My kids have to have them. I'm like, can we download an app?
I know.
Is there an app for that?
Yeah, you've got an iPad and an iPhone. You can't use it, but some of it is for test taking and that stuff, not having the access. But the article kind of had a weird take because it was talking about how it's so expensive, and a lot of kids can't afford these, or teachers are having to buy them for the students. Well, my thing is, if they haven't really changed since the 90s when they started, this would have been the best technology investment ever, because if they would have bought them for $100 each in the 90s and they were still using them 30 years later, because they basically haven't changed. And here's another part of it. When somebody graduates from high school and never will need a graphing calculator ever again in their lives,
there should be a pile of them at the school.
Yes. Just give it back. And so it's kind of a weird story, but it is interesting that these graphing calculators that when I was in high school were, the cat's pajamas. I mean, that was like we could program. I had a friend that I had some super nerdy friends.
You could draw lines.
Super smart nerdy friends. I was kind of nerdy that put Tetris in there. You could program in games and stuff into it. It was just wild what they would do. But now, with the technology we have in our pocket with our smartphone, it seems kind of ridiculous.
Well, I purchased the ones for my kids from a guy on Craigslist who goes through, estate sales, Goodwill, Salvation Army, finds these for $3 to $5, refurbishes them, cleans them up, and then sells them for $60, $80 online.
Jeez, crazy.
Yeah.
Weird stuff. A fun little story. There is a meteorologist, and I, as a oft watcher of local news, there's a meteorologist.
Speaking of smartphones,
yes, I think it was over in the UK or somewhere. He had an Apple Watch, and he was talking about the snow forecast, and he raised his Apple Watch, and Siri responded, "There is no snow in the forecast." And he's like showing a video of snow and everything, so it completely contradicted his thing. So they had a funny conversation about the fact that Siri was telling him that his weather report was wrong on the live news.
Yes.
Fun little watch.
Weren't we just talking about Siri earlier?
Yes, we were. Intel. So we talked about this. I probably almost could have put it in follow-up. Their mobile chip division, which competes with the behemoth in the industry, Qualcomm, that makes the majority of all mobile chips. Well, it came out earlier this year that Apple had purchased Intel's mobile chip division in kind of this fire sale. They got this great deal.
And when we say mobile chip, we're specifically talking about mobile communication
Yes,
chip.
yes. So the
With radios.
modem in your smartphone, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So like the 5G chips and the 4G, LTE, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Qualcomm makes almost all of them, and there's been some legal stuff going on. And Intel has basically come out and said that they were forced to sell to Apple because Qualcomm basically pushed them out of business. There's some patent stuff going on, which we loathe talking about and everything, but it's good for Apple because they got a great deal on all these great engineers and everything, and would love to be able to build their own chip and not have to rely on Qualcomm stuff.
But right now they're paying the Qualcomm tax, and they're paying it heavily for the next few years.
Yes. Well, our security and privacy story hit local. The FBI Portland office, of all people, warns of security issues on smart TVs, and this, I almost put a not news. It's not quite as bad as the juice jacking story, but
there's only security issues against the manufacturers of the TVs because they're the ones that are spying on you.
Yeah. So they do talk about how, well, with the smart TVs, and a lot of them have cameras and microphones, that somebody could possibly hack into them and be watching you all of the time and all of this stuff, which, okay, most of it is, like you're saying, Samsung, Vizio, all these companies, LG, they make a lot of money off selling what you're watching and that data to advertisers so that people can advertise to you better, which I don't know how we're ever going to avoid that between the internet and smartphones and smart TVs. If we want to have this great user experience, for the most part, this is how they're going to make money. I forget who it was, TCL maybe, they said we could make a dumb TV, but we'd have to charge you twice as much because they make so much money off having apps pre-installed and getting some of this data.
It's like
off
the
there.
old Windows computer with 27,000 shareware apps on there.
Not the old Windows computer,
the current
Windows computer.
Yeah, because they get deals from those software manufacturers to give discounts to customers. And this story, what's interesting to me is not what's contained in it, but the picture at the headline. It's a picture of a Formula One race car being looked at through sunglasses. What does that have to do with the story at all?
It is the photo they had. It was something they paid for from Getty Images to use, but
we got to use this thing. It has nothing to do with the article, but yes, be aware that when you purchase these television sets for $300 and they're 69-inch TVs, that there are a bunch of apps pre-installed, and when you sign in to Netflix or whatever, Samsung or TCL or whoever is tracking what you're watching, when you're watching, what accounts you're logged into, and they're selling that to advertisers. It's somewhere in their terms of service that you click right on by. Is there any way to avoid it? No. The only real way is to just
disconnect it from the internet.
To hook it up to rabbit ears and watch the over-the-air broadcast. Yes. That's about the only way.
And then they'll want to give you a Nielsen box so that you can put in what you're watching. But because we get really scared when we hear about all our data being taken and sold. And for me, as long as they're doing it responsibly and anonymizing it. Anatomically correcting it. As long as they're not giving them the specifics of, here's what Dave Baylor watched Friday night at 11 p.m., advertised towards that.
And he lives at 123 Fake Street.
Yes, So the best practice is they take this data as a whole, which I love data. The better data we have, usually the better decisions we can make, as long as it's not being specifically tied to you. But also, if they do have ads on the TV or whatever, if they're able to give you better ads, I always say that as well. I would much rather have ads that are applicable to me than some random thing. Now, every 1 in a million, it can be a problem where I'm getting an ad for a pregnancy test and my wife doesn't know that I'm pregnant.
Yes.
Is that how it works?
I think so.
That kind of a thing, maybe 1 in a million, but it's kind of these old wives. It's this techno panic that, these ads that I'm getting, it's okay, folks. It's okay, Todd. Take off the 17th layer of your tinfoil hat. We're all going to be okay, I think. And speaking of being okay, our bonus odd take of the week, I found this via one of my favorite sites, kottke.org.
Yeah.
And this is a website. It's part of the Information is Beautiful project, and it's called Beautiful News. And what they do is they take positive data that is going on in our world, and they make these beautiful little charts to represent it. Like smoking is falling fast in Japan. So they take the data of smoking statistics and they make this beautiful thing. And
it could just be a black and white chart or a spreadsheet of
number,
numbers.
2 numbers.
But they make a beautiful designed image that not only is pleasing to look at, it's very informative.
Yeah. So a nice little infographic that says 15 years ago it was 27%. Currently it's at 18%. And so they take a lot of great information. African countries are squashing malaria, and they make this great infographic showing the decrease in malaria cases over the last 10 years in Africa. So we get a lot of negative news, we get a lot of ugly news, and this is something to remind us that the world is actually, as a whole, getting to be a better place.
It is.
India's solar power capacity quadruples.
So more than half of the world now lives in a democracy.
Yeah.
If you're communist, maybe that's not good news, but
so it's a fun little look and a fun way to just see some of these positive statistics that are going on in the world. So kudos to informationisbeautiful.net, and kudos, before we even get started, to our picks of the week. And Dave, I'm going to jump in before you get started on yours. Friend of the show, Todd, of the Mark and Todd cast, and his Todd Workhoven YouTube channel, which is very great, where he takes old VHS tapes that he finds at the Goodwill bins, and he converts them to digital, uploads them to YouTube. Well, his great little device that he has to do that.
A telecine machine.
Yes. It's called the VidLink.
Okay.
It died on him. So he went to, and he had been house sitting, so he was back home.
Okay.
And he was so excited, so he went to Fry's, which Fry's is not a pick. He went to Best Buy, they had one. He's back up and running. He's reposting videos.
Yeah.
It is the best background video watching. The stuff he finds is so random, but Todd did say it was his pick of the year, is this VidLink device that he uses to convert VHS tapes to digital on his computer.
Yeah. Yes, it's really been a boom for his video uploading service that he provides to the world.
He does a great job with that. Thank you for that, Todd.
Yeah, and maybe next week I'll have a similar pick, but I'm going to keep it in my back pocket for now. For this week, as I hinted at before, has something to do with my pro tip of the week. And backup versus archive for your photos. This gentleman that I was referring to earlier said, perhaps I just need to print out all of my photos, and then I don't have to worry about them ever being lost. And then we reminisced about house fires and floods and tornadoes and other acts of God. But at least it would be one other archive. And if you're thinking about doing that, our dear friend and your wife, Chelsea, mentioned back on episode 153, Tetris Flow, an app for your phone called Free Prints. You remember that? She made a photo book or something with free prints.
Yeah.
The way this works, you get 85 free photos that you can print from your computer or your phone or whatever. Each month, you only have to pay shipping and handling, which comes out to about $10. So do the math. What is $10, 85 free prints? What are you paying? 8.5 cents per image or something like that. It's pretty cheap.
Yes.
Regardless, it's cheaper than what you can probably get down at Costco or Walmart or whatever. Not a bad deal. Well, they are owned or affiliated with this website called Photo Affections. It's all part of the same thing. And I don't know if back on episode 143 if they were the same company or not.
Yeah.
But I rediscovered them because, the holidays are here.
They are.
And I created, for the first time in probably a decade, a Christmas card that I'm sending out to all of my friends and relatives.
Nice.
And if you don't get one, I'll provide a digital version of it.
For the podcast listeners.
Yeah, for the podcast listeners. So I made one of these on Photo Affections, and they own, or Free Prints owns them.
Okay.
But the experience was very good. I found a Groupon to save some money, and we got like 100. We ended up getting like 100 cards for about $60. And these are like top-notch, cardstock, double-sided, the way to go. So it's not too late to use these if you hear this podcast. Photoaffections.com. It was a great experience getting the photos into the service, creating the cards, and then ordering them on the other side. And we'll see how they turn out.
Nice. Well, my pick of the week also references a previous episode.
Okay.
Back on episode 44.
Wow.
Live from Mars.
You win.
On October 13th, 2016, my pick of the week was the automatic mileage tracking Made Easy device that I had. It goes into the ODB port of your car.
Right, the automatic is what
it tracks your mileage. They used to advertise a lot on podcasts. Mm-hmm. Well, I mentioned at that point 3 years ago that that they had an upgraded version with 3G service, so it would connect cellular, didn't have to connect to your phone. But owning my own business and tracking mileage, I tried for the first year of my business to just write everything down and remember. That was the worst holistic cost of anything.
A fool's errand.
Yes. So once I got the automatic, at the end of the year, I could hit export from their website, have a spreadsheet, have every mile that I drove throughout the year, hit sum in the Excel, get the total for the column, put it in on my taxes.
Excellent.
I'm driving much less, but I got an email earlier this year, and I don't think I mentioned it on the podcast, that the version that I had was no longer going to be working just due to some changes where it had to tie directly to the phone. So they gave me a discount on the cellular version.
Okay.
So my pick of the week is these current automatic devices. Now you can get them on, they retail about $100, but you can find them on deals here and there. I think mine, I got it for $60 on the special upgrade discount that I got.
Is there a monthly service attached to this?
So there is. I got an extended monthly service, but they have a couple different plans. There's a very basic one, the select service, where you get some of the features, which I'll mention in a second. And then there's a premium subscription. So the select service you get free for 3 years, and then it's like a couple bucks a month. And then the premium is free for your first 6 months, and then just $5 a month. But even with the free one, you get crash alert. So if my car gets in an accident, it'll send my wife a text message. Chelsea, so if you get a weird text message from something, I forgot to tell you about this.
Automatic thing. That's weird.
It gives you engine light diagnostics, which has actually saved me a ton of money on the old one to be able to look in the app.
The squirrels are hungry.
Yes.
Usually.
Maintenance reminders, driving history and insights, and then it'll even do cashless toll payment processing, which Oregon is still held off on toll roads.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, the premium one, you get real-time location and sharing, roadside assistance, parking tracking, smart home integrations, app integrations, and business expense tracking. So I do have the premium one, and it just connects to a cellular service. So you don't. It took me a couple minutes to get it set up.
So it's always online.
Always online, tracks all my mileage and everything in there. If you have to track mileage, these are a no-brainer. And my car's an older car, so it doesn't have a lot of the, built-in OnStar or any of that connected stuff. So having all of that stuff for, $100 even if you pay full price.
Cheaper than buying a new car.
Yes. So it is really a great device, and there's a bunch of other companies out there, but I just knew that Automatic had a good reputation, and it's worked wonderfully for me.
Well, a couple months ago, I spent probably $20 or $30 on one of those devices you plug in to get diagnostics.
Yeah.
And so for not much money more, I could have had an automatic device, and I actually considered it, but I wasn't ready to make the purchase yet, and I wanted to look at the different options, and I wasn't ready to do a subscription. I know. And so I just said, you know what, I need it right now, and it's going to live in my garage, and it will work forever. So but that's a very good recommendation.
Yes. Well, on to our Ramazon pick of the week. We love it. We are Amazon affiliates, and we try to bring in a little bit of money to cover our costs through that. All you have to do is go to amazon.notnerd.com or any of the Amazon links that we post, and it connects in and tracks it back to us. And then we can look at our anonymous reports and see what you guys are purchasing. And this week I was looking through, and I was hoping for just a plethora of Black Friday specials and everything.
Yeah.
It seems like some of you forgot to go through our link doing your Black Friday shopping on Amazon and Cyber Monday. But I did find, and I see that the price has already gone back up, that somebody purchased, get ready for this Amazon title.
I can't wait.
Apple AirPods Pro. Oh, that's all.
That's
all.
it?
It's got to
easy.
be the shortest title on Amazon. Even their own products are longer than that. So these are the official new Apple AirPods Pro. I'd love to hear who purchased these. I know Jared bought a pair, but I think
I have a
maybe
friend
he went through
that
Apple.
I know as well.
They were on sale for $235, and as we've been recording, it's back up to $249 now, which
still
great
a great
product.
price.
So, and that we get a little kickback, and it's a great reminder that Apple has a partnership with Amazon to sell official products there, and you can oft find a discount. I think the Gen 2 AirPods, the non-Pro ones, most recent non-Pro ones, they were on sale for like $135 or something, which is a great, because they retail is at $159.
$159, yeah.
So getting a great discount. It's a great reminder to check Amazon for those Apple devices. They had the
they're partnering
iPads
now,
on crazy sale.
Yeah, I can't help myself. I just wanted to buy one. I didn't, but it's like, oh, they're so cheap.
Maybe I'll go buy one now before it makes for great podcasting to listen to me buy stuff on.
Yeah.
But no, great deal. Thank you for all of your support. We love seeing those purchases come through our links because it helps keep us going. With that, we are going to wrap up this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Please share it with a friend. Help them understand what's going on in the world of technology as we try to figure it out ourselves and communicate that to you. Now get out there and tech better. And I'm going to pause you because I have to reply to my wife real quick.
Oh,
Keep her excited.
So many interruptions. Your wife is so needy.